Kyrian conduit options for potency, in case I haven't shown that yet. Strike with clarity increases weapons of orders duration by X seconds, and the mastery bonus is increased by 5, um, which you get an extra 5 here, and then it's 5 to begin with, so that's a lot of extra mastery. Um, and increases the duration. The tooltip looks bugged for the duration itself, but we'll see there. Zwin's Bond, which is a big one in my opinion. Your mastery reduces his cooldown and its damage is increased by 10%. And the white portion, is going to scale as you move through your covenant and gain renown. Calculated strikes increases that damage bonus that you get from each target you hit for your next spinning crane kick by 10%. So taking it from the baseline 10 to 20. Coordinated offensive, really good for when you're bursting single target, because whenever you double tap Storm Wraith and Fire and they fixate, they're going to do 10% extra damage. And then Fist of Fury's damage is increased by 20%. That'll increase up to 35. From what I see so far in the beta, that will be the max once you've worked through your Covenant stuff. Alright, I figured I'd show the Soulbind and Conduit options real quick and what I think. I think Pelagos is the most well-rounded. You get a nice 5% verse buff here. Finesse Conduit out of that. And then up to a 55% heal from your file that you get from using your Steward. That turns it into a hot, but it's 55% instead of the base 20 up front. And then an endurance conduit out of that, which you're going to want because Expel Harm's healing is really good and you're boosting that. This is just a PvE row, so whatever, you can go either route. And then two potency conduits here, which is nice. And then Weapons of Order will give you an extra 5% mastery, and the Sorrowful Memories. And this one technically looks the best to me overall, except for the fact that I would have to take talents that I don't want to get 3 conduits or 3 potency conduits. You're also, initially removing all these things, but then it makes you immune to all those things for 15 seconds. Finesse conduit out of that into a potency. If you go this route, you could get the 3 potency conduits. So while you're above 90%, you increase your party's max health by 5. So, this is more selfish and this is more for your group. So if you're doing Mythic Plus, this could be a really good way to go, giving, your team 5% HP and then you get an extra potency conduit out of it. So there's 2 right there. This one looks the best to me, but you're going to get a finesse conduit out of it into an endurance. So that 5% crit buff, you'd have to decide between that or going with one of these others. Like this one just removes, gives you movement speed reduction on your target for 30%, but whenever you damage them. And this one basically gives you a little bit of a hot whenever somebody heals you while you're above 70%, or whenever you heal, someone else while they're above 70, then 3% of that is going to turn into a repeated heal on the target basically, but it's only 3%. So these 2 are kind of weak in my opinion, but that would be the way to get the potency conduit, is going here with Resonant Accolades. So you could 1, 2, and Or is this the root? 1, 2, yeah. So 1, 2, 3 potency conduits there, but you'd have to kind of take a mediocre talent to get there. Whereas you could take the 5% crit and just get 2 potency conduits and, you know, a finesse. So, you know, and the last one looks pretty decent too. You and your allies. So this is, you know, these two things are definitely more Mythic Plus oriented. So you and your team, or whenever you crit, you're going to gain a stack of Valiant Strikes, and at 40 stacks, you heal yourself for 10% of your max HP, and up to 4 of your allies for 5% of theirs over 10 seconds. So it's a hot. So yeah, decisions, right? This one looks really good, but you're only going to be able to get, you know, 2 potencies. Right here, like, I can't see this being really useful for a Windwalker, because we don't want to knock people away from us 99% of the time, you know, to be honest. Like, I mean, I can see how it might be slightly useful in PvP, you know, in Arena, if you use your file and then you're still taking a ton of damage, and you want to kite, you know, you could pop your file and it would knock them away. But if you want the potency conduit, and I like this better anyway, even for Arena, when you're reduced below 35% health, your file automatically activates and consumes a charge, and then you get a potency conduit out of that into the endurance. But to get the next potency conduit here, like to actually get 3 of them, you'd have to go with this one, which might be okay if you're a, you know, a PvE guy. After standing still for 5 seconds, incoming stuns and incapacitates are reduced by 20%, and that starts when you move after 5 seconds and lasts for another 5. So that would be the way of getting the third conduit there, but I really don't like this talent. I mean, technically you could use it, and, you know, as long as you positioned well, you could stand there with Fists of Fury, right? And then you would gain this, but I feel like, I don't know. I just don't like it, to be honest. But yeah, that would be your way of getting 3 potency conduits by going, you know, this route here, following the right side. And then these are just, you know, PvE things that are kind of whatever to me. These two I like a lot more, but you're going to get either a finesse or an endurance out of it. So, you know, this would be your more offensive option. Damaging a new enemy grants you 2% haste for 10 seconds up to 5, so a 10% haste buff. And, you know, you're going to want to be tabbing to hit new targets to get the crane buff on them anyway. And, you know, because that helps your spinning crane kick damage, right? And if you're in PvP, it could still, like, you could stack this on top of Alpha Tiger. And anytime you attack a new target with Alpha Tiger, you get 30%, which is a lust, right? Just from that. So, you know, 10% on top of that, you got 40% haste by, you know, tabbing through targets. And, um, you know, so there's that. And then this one, great synergy with this. When you're reduced to 35% or below, you stun all nearby enemies for 3 seconds every 60 seconds. So that would lead you into finesse. So yeah, either way you go here, these are the better talents in my opinion, for sure. Whether you want more defense or more offense, it's going to lead you to endurance and finesse. And this, you know, somewhat crummy talent is going to lead to your potency. So decisions. But casting or receiving healing has a chance to improve the remaining durability on your armor, and then some fall damage reduction, kind of whatever. And then the final one is Bronze Call to Action. After 120 spells and abilities, that's a lot. Your next ability will summon Brawn, who attacks and heals you and your team for 30 seconds. So depending on, you know, how he scales and whatnot, that could be good. So potentially a good tree here. I really like some of these talents. I hate the fact that you have to take a somewhat crummy one just to get another potency, but you know, this may be all right in PvE, you know. Just stand there and channel Fist of Fury, and then, you know, if you know like a stun or something is coming, then this could be a good one to time that and still be able to get your potency conduit. So 1, 2, 3 there, if you go that route. But yeah, so those are the Soulbinds and what I think will be good and why and all that. So figured I'd share that real quick.